Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Inner Circle. Today, we are talking about what I imagine to be the ultimate Breguet collection, which is also a Daniel Roth collection as well. As some of you may know, Daniel Roth was integral to the revival of Breguet. Of course, Breguet has a history that extends all the way back to the late 18th century. But what we today know as Breguet in the world of wristwatches is by and large a realization of Daniel Roth's horological and aesthetic vision. And the three models that I will present to you today have his fingerprints all over them. He was hired in 1973 by the Chomet brothers for not only his prodigious talent and experience at Audemars Piguet, but also because of his willingness to build on that vision in terms of his studies and research. So truly, Daniel Roth is a watchmaker's watchmaker, a real nerd's watchmaker. I love the guy. I love his designs, and I absolutely adore his watchmaking. And these three models, the time and date with the moon phase and power reserve indicators that you can see on the screen now, with the asymmetric dial, the perpetual calendar, and the chronograph are some of the first few watches, some of the first few models he introduced at Breguet. The three models that I'm showing as reference numbers fit into his designs, into his period, but the three watches, unfortunately, don't have their papers with them and they're not precisely dated, so they might not necessarily belong to that period between 1973 and 1988, where Daniel Roth was at Breguet, but they are still his watches in the strictest sense. I said a couple of things about how his vision was integral to what we know as Breguet today, and that comes in the form of these round, elegant, traditional cases with extended lugs that are downturned and have this teardrop shape individually soldered. The entire case band has a fluted decoration, coin edging, as sometimes people also call it. The sapphire cabochon on the crown was not initially there, but was added soon after, and I think complements beautifully what we will see on the dial. The dials traditionally, very much like Breguet, were produced out of gold blank, silvered, and engine turned by hand for decoration, with Breguet frosted track for the hour markers that are rendered as Roman numerals, and heat blued stainless steel hands, which are styled in the shape of apple, palm, in a style that we today simply call Breguet. The 3130 perhaps is the purest expression of his translation of Breguet's pocket watches onto the wrist. because Daniel Roth, when he was designing this particular piece, modeled it after one of Breguet's pocket watches with a slightly oversized subsidiary dial for a pointer date at 6 o'clock. Between 1 and 2 o'clock, you have the aperture for the moon phase indicator and the power reserve indicator at 10:30 o'clock for the 50 hours. There's a variety of gear-shaped decorations, various patterns, including a wavy pattern that embellishes the clouds as part of the moon phase indicator, and the center of the pointer dates, a barley corn pattern which emanates out of the power reserve indicator hand, and kind of coin edging that frames each sector of the dial. The case is 36 millimeters in yellow gold, but it has an outsized presence on the wrist thanks to those extended lugs, which give a modern Breguet wristwatch the aesthetic vaguely of a conversion piece from the pocket onto the wrist. And abiding by that Breguet tradition, Daniel Roth also made sure that these pieces were signed on two separate plaques on the dial with the name Breguet and the caliber number, the serial number for the movement on the dial. A stunning piece, really a great example of the reference 3130 with a self-winding movement. The piece has seen, I think, some polishing, but nothing excessive. And here's a glimpse onto the self-winding movement with an off-center rotor, which beats behind the solid case back, matching tang buckle in yellow gold. This is the Breguet Classique 3130 BA, which means it is in 18 karat yellow gold, with the buy it now price of $13,900, listed by a professional dealer out of Japan who remains open for your offers as well. So feel free to send in a bid and see if you can work out an even better deal. The second piece, once again, is a classic prestige complication, which is rendered in a very balanced fashion for Breguet on a wristwatch. This is a perpetual calendar. The reference number is 3050. Once again, we have the classic 36 millimeter case carrying all the distinctive marks of a Breguet wristwatch that we just talked about, realized by Daniel Roth according to his vision, but after the lines laid out by Abraham Louis Breguet centuries back. You have a beautiful 4 subdial kind of layout with a downward facing crescent at 6 o'clock, which encircles the aperture for the moon phase indicator, a pointer date at 3 o'clock, which has within it the plaque for the movement number, day of the week at 9 o'clock, which contains the Breguet signature, and at 12 o'clock, you have the leap year indicators surrounded by the months, of course, Roman numerals for the hour markers, heat blued stainless steel hands for all the indicators, including the hands for the hour and minutes, which are the traditional, which are rendered in the traditional Breguet house style. This is the 3050 BA, so the case is in 18 karat yellow gold. And once again, the crown is topped with a blue sapphire cabochon, which I think coordinates subtly and beautifully with both the heat blued stainless steel hands on the dial and the night sky, which serves as the backdrop for the moon phase indicator. Once again, we have a case in great condition, which may have been lightly polished, but has all the beautiful contours of the original design, including the delightfully shaped teardrop lugs and the fine fluted decoration on the case band. It is matched with the proper 18 karat yellow gold tank buckle. The original strap, or rather the Breguet branded strap, is included in addition to the Morquin that you see here with the watch. And finally, in this case, the dial has a rather uniform clou de Paris or hobnail pattern as its guilloche decoration. This is the Breguet Classique Perpetual Calendar, reference 3050 in 18 karat yellow gold, listed by a professional dealer out of Malaysia for the fixed price of $28,000 in $28,000 in US dollars. Last but not least, I wanted to choose a different metal for this piece. This is the classic chronograph. We were talking about how Daniel Roth carried over some of the signature elements of his vision for Breguet to his own independent brand. And the chronograph was one of the foundations, along with the tourbillon. This is a 3237, which is a sibling to its immediate predecessor in 3230. 3237 was exclusively um, 3237 was at that time one of the most interesting and compelling classic chronographs built on the hand-wound column wheel chronograph movement base of the Lemania 2310 or CH27. As you can see, you have the stunning guilloche dial produced out of white gold blank, silvered, an engine turned by hand with a Claude Paris decoration at the center of the dial and a vague, wavy pattern for the chronograph registers, which are a 30-minute totalizer at 3 o'clock and continuous running seconds at 9. All the hands, once again, are heat blued out of stainless steel. And for the hour and minutes, they're styled in classic Breguet fashion. Here you have the 36 millimeter case in 18 karat white gold. Beautifully finished with fine fluting all along the case band. Elegantly downturned lugs that have the shape of teardrops, and pump pushers for the start, stop, and reset functions of this classic 2-register chronograph. Once again, the Breguet signature under the Roman numeral 12 on a plaque inscribed, and above 6 o'clock you have the serial number for the caliber for the movements, also inscribed on a plaque. The hour markers are laid out on a Breguet frosted track, and there is also at the perimeter of the dial a seconds track calibrated to 1/5 of a second. This is the Breguet Classique chronograph, reference 3237 in white gold. The buy it now price is $30,850 in US dollars, as set by a professional dealer out of Singapore, who remains open to negotiation. So feel free to send them a bid that is more properly aligned to the budget you set aside for this watch. I'm sure they would be happy to listen to it. What's the worst that can happen? They will simply say no. You should always negotiate, always find ways to reach out to them and work out a better deal, since the prices are traditionally quite inflated on Chrono 24. I'm very conflicted about my personal choice. I think money were no object, I would be picking up all three. But I am very partial to the purest expression of a Breguet wristwatch, the most distilled version of Daniel Roth's vision for Breguet in the 20th century, the reference 3130 BA, which was styled after the pocket watches that Abraham Louis Breguet made himself. If you have any questions about these three watches, about these particular listings, please feel free to reach out to me here on Patreon. You can also find me on Instagram at young.brando, or write me an email at lordhellespont5@gmail.com. That is lordhellespont@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing you next time on a live stream. In the meantime, please feel free to send me a line. I'm grateful for your support and I'm happy to be at your service. I'll see you soon.